Okay, are we ready?
Yes, sir.
You recording?
Recording.
Yes.
First.
Is that confirmed?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call a special village board meeting to order. Let the record reflect that it's Tuesday, August 4, 2020 at 6:33 p.m. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Pritzker's Disaster Proclamation and Public Act 101-0640, which amends requirements of the Open Meetings Act due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Pursuant to the same, the village board finds that it would be impractical to conduct an in-person meeting with all members present. I would ask at this time that the elected officials confirm if they can all hear one another.
Yep.
We can all respond in the affirmative.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Trustee Berg. All the materials for this meeting are available on the village website, and we recommend that the members on the call and present and the public to follow along as the agenda is posted. For items with public comment, and after the members have spoken, I will for public comment as follows. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I would call on each person present at the meeting and afford them 6 minutes for their comment. The public was also provided the opportunity to submit a request until noon today by email to the clerk's office or by placing the written request in the drop box at the Village Hall to participate publicly via a live telephone call at the relevant portion of the public meeting. The public was also afforded the opportunity to submit their written requests or written comments by noon today to the clerk's office or by placing a written comment in a drop box at Village Hall. Finally, after each vote taken this evening, it will be conducted via a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, I'd ask that you please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan. Trustee Brennan. Trustee Galante.
Here.
Trustee Glotz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
Here.
President Vandenberg.
Present. Thank you, Clerk. Excuse me. At this time, item number one, I'd ask for the motion to open a public hearing.
I'd like, this trustee Galante, I'd like to ask for a motion to conduct a public hearing relative to the proposed 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Galante and Trustee Glotz. Thank you. This hearing has been properly moved and seconded. A quorum has been established and now is open. Pursuant to Section 65 ILCS 511-74.4 through 5 of the Tax Increment Allocation Redevelopment Act, also known as TIF Act, this hearing has been called and notice has been given pursuant to and in accordance with the statutes of the state of Illinois. The Village of Tinley Park has made and provided notice of public hearing in the Daily Southtown on July 6, 2020 and July 23, 2020, and otherwise given in the manner provided by law. This public hearing is in regard to the village's proposal to establish a TIF tax increment financing district to be known at 159th and Harlem Avenue, TIF district. At this time, I would like to ask village staff to provide a testimony regarding the 159th and Harlem TIF district. I would call on Andrew Brown.
Thank you very much, President Vandenberg. I'll be giving a high-level overview of the proposed TIF district, while Maureen Berry from Stern Brothers, the village's TIF consultant, will provide an overview in regards to the redevelopment plan and feasibility study that was conducted. The proposed 159th and Harlem TIF district lies at the north border of the community and contains some of the community's older commercial centers. This is a gateway to Tinley Park and can provide a first impression of the community to visitors and residents alike. Due to the age of these shopping areas and changing retail environment, some of these centers are suffering from high vacancy rates. The vacancies make it more challenging for other businesses in the center to thrive. With changes in the retail environment, new retailers require different amenities that may not currently be available, and these centers may need to be improved both cosmetically and physically to entice new retailers to occupy the space. The village has also identified a number of public infrastructure improvements it would like to accomplish to enhance this commercial area, but has not been successful identifying available resources to fund these improvements in the budget process due to other priorities and needs throughout the village. Significant expenditures are expected to be required in infrastructure improvements to support redevelopment projects. Developers can be expected to require or request additional assistance via TIF to initiate or complete their proposed projects. The village was approached over a year ago by owners of one of the oldest commercial centers in the area. There was a mutual concern over the level of vacancy that existed and appeared to be growing. The owners were contemplating significant renovations to the shopping center, but were requesting financial assistance from the village to execute the planned improvements. They had requested a significant sales tax rebate and incentive program toward this objective. However, that request significantly exceeded the village's established policies regarding incentives. The village determined a possible better solution may exist in creating a new TIF district, which could potentially provide a greater level of assistance. The village felt that existing conditions in the area would support the creation of a TIF. The village mapped out a proposed TIF area and met with local government administrators that would be impacted by the proposed TIF for input and feedback on January 16, 2020. Receiving no initial objections to the proposed TIF, the village authorized a feasibility study to be conducted in March of 2020. The feasibility study outlined the major commercial areas as follows. Tinley Park Plaza on the east side of Harlem is an aging shopping center that was built in 1974. It had minor cosmetic upgrades in 1992, a south outlot building and renovations in 2006, as well as a north outlot building added through a demolition project in 2016. The mainline center, which is approximately 230,000 square feet of retail space, currently is experiencing 83,000 square feet of that space to be vacant, or 36% of that main inline center. The desired or proposed renovations to this center would be in two phases. The first would be 33,000 square feet and a second phase of 60,000 square feet. Owners had initially envisioned the redevelopment area as a potential restaurant and entertainment district. However, the COVID-19 pandemic and new retailer interest in the proposed new spaces have modified the original concepts. This is an aerial view of Tinley Park Plaza, blocked off in, as you can see, as where the main inline center and that north outlot building are. Moving on to Park Place Center on the west side of Harlem. This center was developed in 1990, consists of a currently occupied Sam's Club, an occupied Steak and Shake, the former Aldi, which is now vacant, the former Applebee's, which is now vacant, and also the former Super Kmart, which is vacant. The former Super Kmart property was purchased by Pete's Fresh Market and is proposed to be divided into a warehouse space as well as a new Pete's Fresh Market grocer. The first phase would be the warehouse, which would be about 100,000 square feet of warehousing space. And then phase two would be the fresh market store, totaling somewhere around 70,000 square feet. The village was approved by Pete's Fresh Market for a Class 6B and 7B incentive, which was granted to them. Staff anticipates Pete's will also be requesting a multi-million-dollar incentive over 20 years. Currently, this request will exceed the established village policies and procedures as it pertains to incentives. Again, another aerial view of the area of which we spoke about in the Park Place Center. The Park Center Plaza on the west side of Harlem is another center that was developed in the late 80s. It has significant long-standing vacancies in both the inline buildings and outlot buildings. It contains some successful businesses. However, the center overall is struggling. There is existing sales tax bond issues that were established, that establish commitments on the sales tax generated within the shopping center, and with the sales taxes tied to bond issue covenants for the foreseeable future, this will restrict or significantly hamper the village's ability to provide assistance through a sales tax sharing arrangement with a new retailer in that space. And at this time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Maureen Berry from Stern Brothers.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got it.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Maureen Berry. I'm a consultant with Stern Brothers and Company, and I've been working with the village for a number of years now on its TIF projects. So I'm pleased to be here, and thank you for having me. The 159th and Harlem TIF, we call it the redevelopment project area, which is kind of another term specifically referred to in the state's TIF Act, same meaning as a TIF district. The general boundaries of the area, I'm going to pull this down just a little bit so you can see me, are on the north side, 159th Street, except for a few parcels west of Oak Park Avenue, north of 159th Street. I'm going to show you a map in just a minute. On the south side, it is the northern boundary of Seamson Meadows, and on the east side, Oak Park Avenue, so right out here, and West Alcott Avenue. So we have 52 parcels, approximately 39 buildings, and 252 acres, which exceeds the 1.5 acre requirement for a TIF in Illinois. The land uses are primarily commercial, with some retail business, along with governmental, park and open space. Religious, we have 2 churches, Trinity Church, Trinity Lutheran, and St. Julia Billiart, and we also have some vacant land uses. There are some primary commercial areas, which include the Menards, the Park Center Plaza, and Tinley Park Plaza, as Mr. Brown said. The Village Hall and Bicentennial Park are also included in this area, and we do have some vacant land and open water detention areas. So this is a map. Again, the boundaries are as I just described. You can see this kind of area down on the southeast corner that's Bicentennial Park and the Village Hall, along with some vacant parcels in there that may be developed at some point, or at least may require some infrastructure improvements. All right, so why do we need a TIF here? As in many of the village's other TIFs, we've seen some declining EAV in the parcels, and we have seen some obsolete and underutilized parcels. Mr. Brown did a great job of explaining what's going on there. And without the intervention of TIF measures, we may continue to see continued decline there. And the TIF will allow the village to basically establish some revenue sources that may help them reverse that trend. So we would like to see some additional private investment, which we've not seen despite the prominent location of this particular TIF at 159th Avenue in Harlem. Obviously, you get a lot of traffic in this area, but nevertheless, we have had trouble, I think, maintaining existing businesses there and attracting new businesses once a space becomes vacant. We do have some infrastructure issues. I'll talk about those a little bit more in future slides, but essentially we need stormwater management, water distribution, sanitary sewer system, roadway, sidewalk, and lighting improvements throughout this area. All right, what is tax increment financing? When we talk about that, there's a lot of misperceptions out there about what TIF is and how it works. Essentially what it is a tool which is used by local governments in Illinois and in other states throughout the country. I think there are only 2 states, maybe 1 at this point, that don't have some form of a law that allows for tax increment financing, and they all pretty much work the same. But essentially what you do is you freeze the EAV in an area after you identify what that area is, and then you are able to use additional funding as the EAV grows. I'll show you a graph in a minute to be able to fund improvements in the area. So we would like to be able to make those improvements, and then hopefully, having this TIF in place allows this area to be comparable to what we call a green grass development. Redeveloping an existing space is always more expensive than redeveloping an area that has not yet been developed. And so sometimes we need these types of TIF incentives and other kinds of incentives to give the village a little bit of funding to be able to attract developers to come in and take on the costs of these types of improvements. So what is tax increment? One thing that is important to note is that it is not a tax increase. That's a common misperception about TIF. It does not necessarily lead to tax increases. If your taxes were to increase, it would be because your property values are improving. And hopefully that will happen over the 23-year term of the TIF, but it is not because of the TIF. So what we do with the TIF is I'm going to show you this graph, which hopefully explains it better. The little red dotted line at on the far left side illustrates at the point that the TIF is adopted, which would be this year, 2020, the TIF will be in place for 23 years. During that time, the yellow rectangle represents the base EAV. So that will be frozen, and that will stay as is throughout the 23-year life of the TIF. And that is the amount of tax revenue that will continue to go to all of the impacted taxing bodies throughout the life of the TIF. However, we do expect, especially as we make improvements within the TIF, that the property values will go up. So the difference between the base EAV and the yellow rectangle, and then that incremental EAV that is in the green triangle, that represents rising EAV values. And so that will go into the TIF fund, and that can be used to fund improvements. And then, after the TIF expires at the end of the 23 years, you have the new total EAV, which is in the blue kind of rectangle there up at the top on the right side. That is the total EAV that will then be available to the village and all of the other taxing bodies. So obviously, a much higher figure than if we were to continue without having a TIF in place. That's ideally how the TIF would work. And the village has had very good success with all of its TIFs so far, so we would expect that to continue in this one. So how do you establish a TIF district? As we've done with the other TIFs, first the village kind of identified an area that they thought may meet the requirements of the state's TIF Act. So there have to be certain physical and economic deficiencies. So they talked it over with the other taxing bodies, again, and that's not always a step that's taken, but we certainly encourage that so that we can make sure the taxing bodies are on board with the plan prior to even a feasibility study being conducted. So the village did that. The taxing bodies indicated they were supportive. We did an eligibility study and redevelopment plan that indicated, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but the plan indicated that the area did meet the requirements to become a TIF. So then we had a joint review board meeting that was on July 14th. That is a formal meeting where the representatives of the impacted taxing bodies are invited to come and review the plan. We reviewed it in detail with those representatives. The village explained why they wanted to do a TIF and what they planned to do there. And they voted at the end of that to support, the members that were in attendance voted to support the TIF. So now we're at the public hearing phase. There are a lot of steps that have to be kind of checked off when a village decides to put a TIF in place. There are a number of notices that go out to the property owners, to people that live within 750 feet of the boundaries of the TIF. There are people who get on a interested parties registry, all of the taxing bodies, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for the state also receives a copy. So there is a lot of notification that has to go out. After this public hearing, at a minimum of 2 weeks, the village can have its first opportunity to vote to adopt the TIF ordinances and establish the TIF. So that would be August 18th at the earliest. Okay, so as I said, it'd be 23 years would be the maximum, and the TIF could be terminated earlier if there are no financial obligations or if the village decides that it's met its objectives. Okay, so the eligibility study is kind of the first document that's required, and as I said, you've got to make sure that you meet these certain requirements that the state has in place in order to be able to determine whether an area qualifies as a TIF district or a redevelopment project area. So in this case, there's 3 different types or 4 different types of eligibility class definitions. In this case, we are calling this area blighted area for both the improved land parcels and the vacant land parcels. I want to make it clear up front here, I'm using that term. That is a specific term that's defined in the state law. It's not a pretty word. Nobody likes to hear that there's an area that's considered blighted in their community, but that's on the front end, right? So once we get the TIF in place, we want to try to take steps to reverse that, and so that the area will no longer be considered blighted. But again, that is a state-defined term, as well as some of the other things that we'll be talking about here, and so you can read what the definitions of those terms are in the report. The report, by the way, was filed, was March 3rd, I believe, right? Was that the date, Andrew? I think, or excuse
That
me.
it was filed? No, it would be June
June
3rd is when it was
excuse
made
me,
available
was
on the
made
village.
available.
It was made available on the village website, and it was announced at the rescheduled board meeting from June 2nd that ended up occurring on June 9th.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. We got a little delayed in this process because of the COVID-19 situation. So we started the process for reviewing the eligibility requirements. We had to put some things on hold while we were finishing up the report. So just more time to work out some of the process and issues, and also more time for the taxing bodies, I think, to take a look at the idea. So you have to have, there are 13 criteria that the state TIF Act lays out, and you have to have a minimum of 5 criteria to call improved land within a blighted area blighted. So we had 6 actually that applied, 6 different conditions. Again, these are defined within the TIF Act specifically. So again, obsolescence, deterioration, excessive vacancies, inadequate utilities, a lack of community planning, and lagging EAV. I'm not going to go into the detail about all of those, but again, that is in the report. These are fairly common criteria that can be applied to an area, and I think, one thing to keep in mind here is that the state laws were put into place so that this is a tool that can be used by communities. We don't have CDBG grants so much anymore. We don't get a lot of state or federal aid in terms of developing our communities. TIF is a tool, one of the very few tools that communities have at their disposal to be able to make improvements within the community. So the idea of this is not to make the bar so high that you can't get over it, okay? So like I said, these are fairly common criteria that we see in areas like the 159th and Harlem TIF, which have some already developed areas that are just, they're old, they're a little tired, and they need a little assistance, okay? So there's also a different set of criteria for the vacant land. So the last one, the last slide was for improved land, which means it's land that has some sort of structure on it. Vacant land is land, obviously, that does not have a structure on it. So there are different sets of criteria for vacant land. You have to have a minimum of 2 criteria, and in this case, we had 4 different criteria that applied. So obsolete platting, tax sale, and special assessment delinquencies, deterioration of structures or site improvements in neighboring or adjacent areas, and lagging equalized assessed value, so which is also a condition that's in the improved land as well. And that's an important one because you want to see the EAV in an area continue to rise. You don't want to see that start to fall off. And so there's different ways we compare that. We compare that with EAV within the community. We compare it to the area as a whole. And then we look at the trend over the last 5 years. Okay, so this was a condition that we found in both the improved and vacant land. Okay, so the redevelopment plan is the second portion of the document after the eligibility kind of study is done. The redevelopment plan then says, okay, you've determined that the area meets the criteria set forth in the TIF Act. Now what are you going to do with this TIF once you have it in place? So this is where the village has established some goals and strategies for trying to reduce or eliminate the blighting conditions and try to make this an area that is more in tune with what the village intends, I think, from its commercial properties, okay? So we have some goals here regarding that. We want to retain and promote the existing businesses. We want to make the land uses that are currently in place a little more in line with what the village's future land use plan is. And I do want to note, though, that there's nothing in this plan that is inconsistent with the village's comprehensive plan, and there's also nothing in there that's inconsistent with its future land use plan. Everything, you'll see the same types of uses in this TIF as the village redevelops it. There won't be anything new, anything surprising there, but hopefully you'll see some improvements just in terms of the quality and the types of businesses and commercial uses within these centers. Okay, so we'll also be hoping to stimulate private investment and job opportunities as well. You don't want to have to be spending TIF money alone to make all these things happen. The idea is that you want to use it more as seed money to get things started, but this will hopefully incentivize private businesses to invest in the area as well. So we'll also be making the public improvements I mentioned, improve the design and physical appearance, and strengthen the overall economic well-being of the entire village. So again, as I said, seed money, but not just within the TIF itself. You also, hopefully, as this particular area strengthens, that provides some ripple effect within the rest of the village as well. And you've seen that in your other TIFs, I think. Okay, so goals and objectives in the redevelopment plan and project. This is basically a roadmap for the village in terms of how to implement the TIF plan. There's some general activities and financing techniques. One of the sections that's in this TIF plan is a section called the estimated redevelopment project costs, which is not really a budget. It's really more of a ceiling on the expenditures that the village can spend in TIF funds. But quite frankly, it's really limited by the amount of TIF revenues that the village actually accrues. You're not obviously going to be able to spend more than the TIF takes in. So this is not a budget per se, but it's a maximum. So the village can't, if it were to accrue more than that, then that would probably mean that the village has met its goals early and might consider, terminating the TIF earlier than 23 years. The village can use these TIF funds for TIF eligible costs. So there's not all types of expenditures are TIF eligible, only certain types of things. So you can use them for redeveloping existing areas, but you cannot use TIF funds to build a new building. Okay, so that's kind of a difference between, and I think a big example of what you can do with TIF. And obviously you can use it to pay for infrastructure costs. Okay, so again, as I mentioned before, the redevelopment plan is consistent with the village's comprehensive plan. Housing impact is another determination we make, and in this case, this was simple. There's, I think, only one occupied residential unit within this TIF, so there will not be any impact on residential units. The village is certifying that within this TIF plan. Okay, so key findings, essentially, this is the kind of the key facts in terms of my presentation to the village board and the findings that it will make in terms of establishing this TIF. So there are blighted area factors that exist in both the improved land and vacant land areas, and they are reasonably present and distributed throughout the redevelopment project area. The costs to redevelop this area are extraordinary. The TIF funds can be spent on projects for properties within the TIF boundaries. The area as a whole has not been subject to growth and development through private enterprise and would not be reasonably anticipated to redevelop without TIF. As I said, this conforms to the comprehensive plan of the village, and it will not result in the displacement of residents from 10 or more inhabited residential units. And at the end of the day, this TIF passes what we call in TIF parlay the but-for test, meaning but for having this TIF, we would not expect to see this area redevelop. And as the village entertains proposals from developers or businesses to provide incentives to development projects, these projects will go through the same kind of but-for a test, which means that the village has to say that but for some sort of TIF incentive, this project would not be feasible. So we're not going to be funding projects that will be successful without the TIF funding. And we're also not going to be funding projects that are not viable, without this TIF funding, or with or without it. So we want to be careful in the TIF. The village has a good track record of choosing the projects that it funds. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I think Andrew's going to talk a little bit more about the Joint Review Board recommendations.
Thank you, Maureen. And thank you to President Vandenberg and the village board for allowing myself and Maureen to provide testimony this evening regarding the 159th and Harlem TIF district. At this point, I'd like to turn it back over to President Vandenberg.
Thanks, Andrew. And thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'd like to read into the record the Joint Review Board recommendation in regard to the proposed designation of the redevelopment project area for the Tinley Park 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District, and the approval of the redevelopment plan and project in relation thereto. This is addressed to the President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, pursuant to Tinley Park Ordinance number 2020-0-020, adopted on June 16, 2020, and the notice sent to all taxing districts impacted by the proposed designation of the redevelopment project area for the Tinley Park 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District on June 17, 2020. Tinley Park 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District Joint Review Board met on July 14, 2020. After appointing the Village of Tinley Park's authorized representative, Jacob C. Vandenberg, as the chairperson of the Joint Review Board, appointing Dr. Daniel Troy as the public member of the Joint Review Board, and hearing presentations by Brad Bettenhausen, Treasurer and Finance Director of Tinley Park, and Maureen Berry of Stern Brothers. And after reviewing the public records, the planning documents, the proposed ordinances approving in the designation of the redevelopment project area, the eligibility report, and the redevelopment plan and project relative to the Tinley Park 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District, the Joint Review Board, by unanimous vote of those members present and voting, which were Tinley Park Park District, Sean Roby, Community Consolidated School District 146, Jeff Charleston, and the public member Daniel Troy, the Village of Tinley Park, myself, voted to recommend that the President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park move forward with the designation of the redevelopment project area for the Tinley Park 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District, and approve the redevelopment plan and project in relation thereto, as required by 65 ILCS 5/11-74.4 through 5 of Category B. This was dated on July 14th, 2020, signed by the chairperson, myself, Jacob C. Vandenberg. Pardon me a moment, we'll flip back over to my agenda. Are there any public comment for this JRB?
There are none in the council chambers, President Vandenberg.
There were none written or no
Thank you very much. I'd ask for the board discussion. If there's any discussion, now would be the time.
This is Trustee Berg. I just want to read something into the record as well, Mayor Vandenberg.
Floor is yours, Trustee Berg.
Thank you, Mayor. As I pointed out, Tinley Park is 45 times more TIF than Orland Park. Tinley Park has a significantly higher amount of TIF districts than all of our surrounding communities. That said, it's without great hesitation that we should proceed on a TIF at 159th and Harlem. COVID-19 is a prime example of an unexpected turn of events that can turn a financially stable village upside down. If the strategic plan for the village of Tinley Park is to plan another TIF, its best use would be at 183rd and LaGrange Road, not the Oak Park Avenue one we did for apartment buildings, nor 159th and Harlem, our busiest corner in the village. It has been estimated that 183rd LaGrange will require infrastructure, including over $2 million in water and sewer alone by our engineers' estimates. 159th and Harlem has infrastructure in place and supports as much retail as we are ever going to get based on consumers using online venues. Economic trends are reliably in industrial and warehousing developments for the best returns in the current market. Therefore, I'm not supporting another TIF district, as we discussed in our strategic plan meetings. And in general, I am not in favor of this location. Thank you, Mayor Vandenberg.
Thank you, Trustee Berg. I'd ask that if you could, I know that you're phoning in telephonically, if you could submit that to the clerk's office so that it could be adequately prepared for the record.
Absolutely, and I will also be restating that at the board meeting because I will not be voting for the 3 items on the agenda for this evening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Trustee Berg. Are there any other discussion items from the rest of the board? So if there's nothing else from the board, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
This is Trustee Galante. I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing relative to the proposed 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. Is there a second?
This is Trustee Brady. I second the motion.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Roll call to close public hearing. Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion will carry to close the public hearing. Item 2, receive comments from the public. On the rest of the agenda, is there any other public comment to be made?
There is no public comment, and there was no public comments received via email or telephone.
Thank you, Laura. We'll move on. This time, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn the special village board meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the special village board meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Miller. Is there a second?
This is Trustee Brennan. I'll second the motion.
Good evening, Trustee Brennan. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call to adjourn. Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. This meeting is adjourned at 7:12 p.m. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call the special committee of the whole meeting to order. Let the record reflect it's Tuesday, August 4th, 2020, 7:14 PM. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Pritzker's Disaster Proclamation and Public Act 101-0640, which amends requirements of the Open Meetings Act due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Pursuant to the same, Village Board finds that it would be impractical to conduct an in-person meeting with all members present. I would like at this time to ask the elected officials confirm they can hear one another. Yes.
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 Trustee
Hear ya.
Berg,
Yes.
Trustee Berg, Mayor Van,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Thank you. After members have spoken, I will afford public comment as follows. Once I, the chair, has a list of all public commenters, I will call on each person present at the meeting and afford them 6 minutes for their comment. The public was also provided the opportunity to submit a request until noon today by email to clerksoffice@tinleypark.org or by placing their written request in the drop box at Village Hall to participate publicly via live telephone call at the relevant portion of the public meeting. And the public was provided the opportunity to submit written comments until noon today by emailing their public comments to clerksoffice@tinleypark.org or by placing their written comment in the drop box at Village Hall. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan.
Present.
Trustee Galante.
Here.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Here.
President Vandenberg.
Present.
Thank you. Item 2, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular committee of the whole meeting held on July 21st, 2020. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mike. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Berg.
Yeah.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes. Item number 3, we are going to hear from Kimberly Clark about the Avocado Theory Oak Park Avenue grant. Take it away, Kimberly.
Hello, greetings. Yes, we have several grants in front of you today for Avocado Theory. They are our newest business that is interested in investing in our downtown, and they are going to utilize the Oak Park Playbook grant. Specifically, they are looking to use the facade grant, they're using the code compliance grant, and the retail build-out grant. They have gone through the Plan Commission process and have gone through their approvals and are now here for the grant. They will be maximizing each grant as presented in order to get to the maximum amount of $70,000. That actually, with the co-compliance grant, there's an additional $2,000 that can be utilized, which gets them to the $71,500. The co-compliance grant is going to be used for the fire sprinkler system, which is upgrading an existing building that's currently not sprinkled, and they will be installing that along with a fire alarm. And they have their quotes in the packet. They were able to obtain 2 quotes for that. Secondly, the retail grant, although they are doing extensive improvements to the building, they were able to isolate the permanent improvements for the retail grant, which we believe that is the intent of that grant, by upgrading the water and sanitary lines that have to be brought to this building in order to support the new use for a restaurant. And then the facade grant, as you can see, they are doing an extensive addition and remodeling of the project that we are very excited to see. They'll be doing complete renovation of all sides, in addition to a expansion to the back with an outdoor patio, extensive landscaping. They'll be removing a large or a detached garage in the back that will be removed to add additional parking. Landscaping will be added to the rear, as well as a fence to screen the residential properties that abut this piece. And they, all in all, will be looking to move fairly quickly on this. This was reviewed at our July 13th, 2020 Economic and Commercial Commission. They did vote 6-0 to recommend approval for the 3 grants that are being presented at this time. And we have their architect on the line as well as the owner, Kunal, who, if you would like to have him further explain his business concept to you, he'd be happy to do that for you. But we feel that the grants that are being submitted for are meeting the intent of the program, and we're happy to see that they're able to utilize multiple grants to make this great project come to our town.
Thanks, Kimberly.
And I can answer any questions.
No, go ahead, Mike. Mr. Patel, do you want to just say a few words?
Yeah, to be, well, the total cost, I don't know, but the way everything going is we looking. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, somewhere around like 700,000, because we really have to do so much work, like the plumbing and everything.
Very good, Mr. Patel. Any comments from the board? Diane?
I think it looks really nice. Very excited to see this come up to us. And I've had the guacamole almost every
Hard
week.
time hearing it. I couldn't hear you well, guys. I'm sorry.
This is Trustee Galante. I was just saying that I'm excited about this project before us. It looks really nice. It will be a great fit in our town, I think. We could use some healthy type of restaurants, and I've actually had their guacamole every week, and it's excellent.
Thank you, Diane.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. I really couldn't hear you at all.
That's okay.
All right, don't worry about it. Trustee Glotz?
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, Trustee Mueller and I, we've met and talked to you a little bit, and we're looking forward to you coming to Tinley. And I just want to thank Kimberly, staff, and Plan Commission, and Mike Mueller for the work they've done on this.
Thank you, Mike. Bill? Mr. Brady?
Yes, thank you again for all your work and job, and we wish you good luck, sir.
Trustee Brennan?
Yep, thanks, Mike. I just want to say that the building looks beautiful. Appreciate your investment in here, and I appreciate your investment here in Tinley Park, and really looking forward to your opening. I've heard a lot about the restaurant, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Bill. Trustee Berg?
Hi, Mr. Patel. I just want to thank you so much for doing business in Tinley Park. We're really appreciative of your efforts and your due diligence on your wonderful development. I'm glad you could use the fire code sprinkler. That's a heavy expense for a lot of businesses, and it's nice to see a 1913 building come to its true beauty. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I can hear you guys. I'm sorry, but I can hear you. But I do want to say thank you guys being amazing, really giving us opportunity to do that. But we are really excited. It's something unique. I wanted to do this like last 13 years, and finally it's coming along. So I'm pretty excited about it. So thank you guys.
Awesome. And Mayor Vandenberg, any comments from you?
I would just echo what everybody says. I mean, I think it's quite clear that without the foresight of the administration and staff putting together a superb grant program, that this type of business may not have made such an investment in our community. So I think it speaks to the volume of the great success of the grant program that's in place. Mr. Patel and to your staff, and we wish you nothing but a world of success, and looking forward to your grand opening.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And then from myself, I echo all the comments that the rest of the board has made about this particular project. I think it's wonderful. And what I think I liked the best about it was kind of the trial at our farmers market to make sure that this would be a viable product here in Tinley Park. So I appreciate all the hard work and all the foresight that you put in, Mr. Patel, and looking forward to this coming to fruition. If there's nothing else from anyone else, I'll make a motion to move the Avocado Theory Oak Park Avenue grant to the village board for approval.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Bill.
Madam Clerk, you call the roll, please?
Roll call for the Avocado Theory Oak Park Avenue grant. Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller, Clerk Therian. Motion carries. Item number 4, discuss community rating system administration proposal. Van from Robinson, do you want to take that?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Should I leave it up? I don't know what you guys want. I don't want to scare you guys.
Well, put it back, put it back.
I saw that one coming.
You may scare someone.
Yeah, haven't seen you for a while. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Tonight, we have a proposal in front of you for a community rating system administration. I've got Melanie Arnold from our office. She's our expert in this. She's dealt with various communities doing this program before. She has a good working relationship with the reviewer from the ISO, so I think you would be in good hands if you want to move forward. I'm going to let her explain a little bit more, but I just wanted to say hi.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Melanie Arnold, and I'm an engineer with Robinson. I'm going to be working with Colby and your GIS specialist to prepare all of the information, collect all of the data, prepare any exhibits that may be required, and then submit them all on the village's behalf to ISO, who is the contractor that FEMA uses to administrate the community rating system program. And so I just wanted to tell you just a very quick version about, review of what the CRS is, what the cycle verification is going to look like, what services Robinson will provide, and then give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. So as stated in our proposal, the CRS is a program, a national program that's developed by FEMA to incentivize communities to go above and beyond the minimum requirements that are set forth by the National Flood Insurance Program. The CRS program requires cycle verification of their communities every 5 years and yearly recertifications in between. The NFIP requires communities to review and verify all CRS activities, which includes a detailed documentation, much more so than is required with the annual recertification. The last verification cycle done by the village was done in June of 2015, and at that time, Tinley was given a CRS class rating of a 7, which means that homeowners that are within the special flood hazard area of the village enjoy a 15% discount on their flood insurance premiums. At the 2015 review cycle, the village was retrograded from a class 6 community to a class 7 community, and they actually only made the cutoff for the class 7 by about 3 points. So that is something during the 2020 cycle verification that I will work with Colby and with the ISO specialist to try to review the activities, the various CRS activities that the village currently participates in, and see if there might be places for us to gain additional points. As I just said, going to review the 2015 cycle verification closely. Already had some conversations with the ISO specialist as to why the community lost points last time around and where we might be able to pick up some additional points. And yeah, Colby and I actually have a meeting scheduled for later this week to kind of go over in detail all of the information that will be required. And our meeting is set for September 8th with the ISO specialist, and then after that original meeting, we'll go back and forth and get any additional information that they need. And then, it usually takes, well, I don't know how it's going to be with the pandemic. Usually takes 6 months before you get your final class rating. So really looking forward to working with the village. I've done this for a number of other communities on behalf of Robinson, and as Van mentioned, I have a good working relationship with the ISO specialist that's assigned to Tinley's verification. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
Thank you, Melanie. Colby, you're good with this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad these guys have the experience of doing this. They've done it for the village for a number of years, so I think we're going in the right direction by giving it to these guys to do it again this year.
Great. Thank you, Colby. Thank you, Melanie. Anyone from the board have any questions?
Yeah, I got a quick question. What are the chances of getting to a class 8 or 9 with this next survey, I guess, and what would the discounts to our residents be at that point?
Sure. So actually, the lower your class rating, the better it is. It's every class improvement that you have is a 5% increased savings for the residents within the special flood hazard area. So if you were to move to a class 6, they would receive a 20% discount on their flood insurance premium. There is certain classes, to be able to reach them, you have to have certain prerequisites, and one of the main prerequisite that you have to get to a class 6, which the village used to be, it's called a BSEG, which is a Building Code Effectiveness Grading Schedule, which is another review and certification that the village would have to go through, and it's basically a thorough review of all their building codes. And the fact that currently the village has 2012 codes, I believe, would prohibit them from being able to go to that next level of a class 6. You have to have, your building codes have to be within 5 years of, less than 5 years old, so 2015 or greater. But I know that was something that Colby and I had previously talked about, and I talked about it with the specialist. She said that if at some point in the future the village decided that they wanted to upgrade their building codes and then go through the BSEG evaluation, there would be a chance to, if the points were there, to be able to reevaluate in between the 5-year, at a recertification yearly cycle and move up to a class 6 at that point in time, if the points were there to do so.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to say this is a great program that we offer to our residents, and really excited about the 5-year process. I know I spoke with Kobe, and he's appreciative of the help with the 5-year process, and then hopefully if we can get to the 6 once we update the building codes, that would be even better for our residents. So appreciate all your help.
Sure thing.
Anybody else?
Just one comment I want to add there.
Melanie, thank you so much. I have to have flood insurance.
You're welcome.
As most of you are aware, we have been updating a lot of our building codes currently, so as she and I discussed this, should we get a lot of the information of what we've changed and what we're looking to change to get to that class 6 again, so.
Thank you, Colby.
Very good.
I'll make a motion to go to the village board for approval.
I'll second your motion.
Thank you, Bill. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Roll call for Community Rating System. Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 5, receive comments from the public. Are there any comments from the public, either in writing, in person, or telephonically?
There were not.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
I motion to adjourn to special committee of the whole.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:33.
To call the regular village board meeting to order. Let the record reflect it's Tuesday, August 4th, 2020 at 7:41 p.m. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Pritzker's Disaster Proclamation and Public Act 101-0640, which amends requirements of the Open Meetings Act due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Pursuant to the same, the village board finds that it would be impractical to conduct an in-person meeting with all members present. I would ask at this time that all elected officials confirm that they could all hear one another. Please respond in the affirmative.
Yes.
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 Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. All the materials for this meeting are available on the village website, and we recommend that the members and the public follow the agenda as posted. For all items with public comment, after the members have spoken, I will forward public comment as follows. Once the chair has a list of all public commenters, I will call on each person to present at the meeting and afford them 6 minutes for the public comment. The public was also provided the opportunity to submit a request until noon today by email to the clerk's office or by placing the written request in the drop box at the Village Hall to participate publicly via a live telephone call at the relevant portion of the public meeting. The public was also afforded the opportunity to submit a written comment until noon today or by emailing to their public comments to the clerk's office or by placing the written comment in the drop box at the Village Hall. Finally, each vote taken this evening will be conducted via a roll call vote. At this time, if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Present.
Trustee Brennan.
Present.
Trustee Galante.
Here?
Trustee Glatz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
Here.
President Vandenberg.
Present. Thank you, Clerk. Item number 1, at this time I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Been properly moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 2, this time I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular village board meeting that was held on July 21, 2020.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Brennan. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, Trustee Glatz.
Thank you. Receive a presentation of the 2020 Rita L. Brudd Memorial Scholarship Program Awards, sponsored by the Community Resources Commission. The Rita Brudd Memorial Scholarship is given to students who perform outstanding community service while maintaining academic excellence. Rita Brudd dedicated her life to service to her community for 46 years as the commissioner for the Village of Tinley Park until her unfortunate passing in April of 2019. She contributed more than 20,000 hours of volunteer work and received many recognitions and awards, including a Life Achievement Award from the Chamber of Commerce. She's accomplished all this along with past and current longtime members of the Community Resource Commission who have carried on her legacy. Members of the Community Resource Commission include Don Budney, Ron Santani, Mike Catrano, Janet Zucra, Debbie Melchert, Michael Seaver, Al Seegers, Barbara Rose Whalen, and Garrett Gray. A great big thank you is extended for all their hard work and dedication to the Village of Tinley Park. I'm going to let Mr. Budney do the presentation. Sure.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, Village Clerk, trustees, and guests, on behalf of the Village of Tinley Park and the Community Resources Commission, it is my honor to announce the winners of this year's Village of Tinley Park Community Service Scholarship, also known as the Rita Brudd Memorial Scholarship now. But before I do, I'd like to acknowledge the sponsor of this scholarship, which is Christopher Burke Engineering, Homewood Disposal, Vandenberg Funeral Home, Peterson, Johnson, and Murphy. And a very special recognition for this award goes to Rita Brudd for her 46 years of voluntary service. In recognition for her service to the community, this scholarship is now named in her honor. Now, the 4 young adults here tonight exemplified what service to the community and school is all about, as their combined hours are over 1,000 hours. So without ado, I'd like to announce the winners of this year's Rita Brudd Memorial Scholarship. I'm going to give a presentation. Our first winner of tonight is Joe DeHaan. Unfortunately, Joe DeHaan is not going to be here tonight because he's in football practice at Northwestern right now. Joe DeHaan is a graduating senior from Victor J. Andrew High School and is already attending Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, majoring in secondary teaching and mathematics. In school, Joe has been on the football team and basketball team for 4 years, as well as the baseball team. In football, Joe has been the captain of the team, as well as an All-State and All-Conference 2018 and 2019. On the basketball team, he has also been the captain, as well as an All-Area and All-Conference. He has been involved in athletics and activities such as the Variety Show, the Matt Coker Foundation, Varsity Athletic Leadership Team, and the Senior Leadership Team. He was inducted into the National Honor Society in his junior year. Outside of school, Joe has been involved in many activities, such as the volunteer to the Tinley Park District for the past 4 years. With the athletic camps and other activities, he has been involved with the Daybreak Soup Kitchen, Special Olympic Games, Teachers Aid at Andrew High School, and has also helped to make Easter baskets to Together We Cope, and many other more activities that are too numerous to mention. In his essay, Joe states, the 125 hours in the Tinley Park District athletic camps has helped him to achieve the dreams he had to be a teacher and coach to younger children who choose to make athletics an integral part of their lives. It has allowed him to be a role model for these kids, to be a park district, and has provided to many people of Tinley Park, that is, infants, children, adults, and senior citizens, top-of-the-line facilities at a minimal cost. He hopes to return at a later date to be a coach and teacher to the youth of Tinley Park. Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Be taking a picture with him.
Diving out of there, Christie.
Our next recipient, Madeline McMaster. She's a graduating senior from Providence Catholic High School and is planning on attending Villanova University in Villanova, Pennsylvania in the fall, majoring in international studies. In school, Madeline has been involved in many activities, such as track and field for the past 4 years, as well as the football manager for the past 3 years, for which the Wintrust Bank named her the Athlete of the Week. Other activities include art club, earth club, math team, international club, volleyball, youth group, and many more activities not mentioned here. She was inducted into the National Honor Society in her junior year. After school, Madeline was involved in as a secondary language teacher, teaching the English language to those who wish to speak the language. She also participated in a vacation Bible school, as well as being a mission trip volunteer for 3 years. In her essay, Madeline states, the one thing she has done every summer has been to go on a mission trip with her church youth group. Last year, they traveled to the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where she learned about the insecurity and access to fresh produce and healthy food. Her group worked with several community gardens, pulling weeds, and planting fresh produce to aid low-income families who struggle to find healthy foods for 3 meals a day. It also showed her how fortunate she was to have food for every meal and a roof over her head. It's also helped her be less judgmental of others and not to take everything for granted. All these activities have changed my life for the better, and I will not be the same person without them, especially today. Congratulations, Madeline.
I'd like to add Providence is the mayor's alma mater.
sir, it was.
Thank you. Congratulations. Can I take a picture with your parents up here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our third recipient tonight is Logan Radgowski. He's a graduating senior from Victor J. Andrew High School and is planning on attending Purdue University in the fall, majoring in biochemistry. In school, Logan has been involved in many activities also, in which he has received many awards. Activities include boys soccer, boys volleyball, peer mediator, peer helper, students with disabilities, student council, woodworking, Spanish National Honor Society, Math Honor Society, and many more activities that cannot even be mentioned here. And awards that he's received were certificates of recognition for being an AP scholar, 75 service hours, peer communication tutor, and the list goes on. Logan was inducted into the National Honor Society in his sophomore year. Outside of school, Logan was involved in the Orland Township Youth Commission for the past 4 years, as well as earning an Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts. I think that says a lot for volunteer and community service. He has worked his life, he has also worked as a lifeguard at the Whitewater Canyon Water Park, as well as a swim instructor and fitness trainer. In his essay, Logan states, as someone who volunteers and enjoys community service, it's hard to just pick one community service to be the most impactful. As an Eagle Scout, he has had many new memories of helping others. But the one service that had the most impact on the community was done through his school. For 2 years, he was part of a club called Peer Helpers that would help students with social disorders to better adjust to life. That is students with autism, bipolar, anxiety, and much more. We would show them how to do simple communication skills, such as eye contact and nonverbal cues that was hard for them to understand. The group inspired him to continue to always to treat people the same because they never know what is going to be on in their minds. Congratulations, Logan.
That's good. Thank you.
And our last recipient tonight is Owen Graybill. He's a graduating senior from Brother Rice High School and is planning on attending Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee in the fall, majoring in computer sciences. Among the many things that Owen has participated in school in the past 4 years has been as co-captain of the swimming team, the art club president, track and field, water polo team, as well as being a leader of a Kairos retreat, chess club, and student ambassador for the school, and many other activities that can't be mentioned here. Owen was inducted into the National Honor Society in his sophomore year. Outside of school, Owen was involved in the Tinley Park Library Summer Reading Program for children for the past 3 years, as well as the Hope Montessori Camp for the past 2 years for special children, and the Edmund Rice Camp for children, of which he was group leader. In his essay, Owen states, through the Edmund Rice Camp, he was able to step out of a selfish pursuit that school often becomes, with most of my time dedicated to studying school activities. He is constantly seeking improvement and growth. The ERC allows him to serve others in such a way that the only thing he receives is a warm feeling in his heart when a child learns or achieves something new. Each game of kickball or painting activity is an opportunity to bring a smile to each child's face. Every celebration for a good deed or a high five for a good find in a scavenger hunt is a chance to show how much they are loved. I am blessed to set an example of kindness and to make an impact on children's lives each summer. Every morning of ERC, I wake up knowing that my actions will truly mean something to the children and my fellow students. Through this opportunity to be loved selfishly, he has developed a love of giving back to others with his knowledge, talent, and time. Congratulations, Owen.
I like to say now Brother Rice is my alma mater. Great selection of schools. And he also picked a great grammar school. But same as mine at Trinity. You guys want to come up?
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's only 24 years after I did. You want to guess who my guidance counselor is?
Ask Mr. Mayor, you want to say anything?
So, hold on a sec. I just want to say thank you to the, to your commission for picking great students. And they go to really good schools. And thank you for all your work.
Wait, just before you leave, when I want to check one thing with Logan, what troop are you with? 372. 372.
Oh, wait, that's Penny. 318.
Okay, well. No, you're not a Cub Scout, you're an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, Troop 318.
Okay, I'm with Troop 911 as a leader, and it's so nice to see an Eagle Scout recognized as well, all of you, okay? And I have many opportunities to go to many Eagle ceremonies, and I have an opportunity to speak at them. And I like to remind the students, the Eagle Scouts, and certainly the parents that are here. I always like to emphasize that you don't become an Eagle by yourself. It's mom and dad with you. And I like to quote Abraham Lincoln, who said, "All that you are and all that you hope to be, you owe to your mother and father." So you four are certainly great students, and to live by that because of what your parents have done. Congratulations again. I was waiting for Jake to ask for comments.
Never short to be short on words, Bill. Well said.
What did he say?
They're never short on words.
Anything else, Bill?
That's it. Oh, was it? Okay.
Mayor, we're switching up, some people coming in and out of the council chambers.
Yeah.
Give us just a sec.
Oh, wait a second. No problem.
Well, I was waiting for the mayor to ask, but he didn't, so. Can we open a window?
Bill, where's the breeze?
I know. How strange is this, Mike?
Picked a bad day to wear a long sleeve.
Yeah.
Part of the budget cuts. COVID budget cut.
They got away from us.
Anyone that may be listening at home live, this isn't an awkward silence. This is, we're trying to adequately allow for proper social distancing, if I understand this correctly. So there's some individuals that are leaving the council chambers and new members coming in. We're just allowing them an opportunity to safely make it into the building.
There's not a social distance out there.
Mayor, our veterans did not come tonight, but our volunteers are here for the next item. Or for the item 5. Item 4, the veterans did not show.
That's fine. Laura, you're still going to read that in the proclamation, or is Clerk Therian going to read it?
Clerk Therian's going to read it.
Okay, perfect. I'll read the description, and then we could, Clerk, then you could go ahead and read the proclamation for me, please.
Very well.
Are we prepared to continue through the meeting?
We're ready, sir.
Thank you. So we'll continue on with item 4. This time I'd ask for a motion to consider proclaiming September 7, 2020 through September 12, 2020 as Veterans of Foreign Wars VFW Buddy Poppy Week in the village of Tinley Park. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second
Trustee
that
Brady.
motion.
Seconded by Trustee Mueller. Thank you. The annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the VFW will take place September 7th through September 12th, 2020. The purpose of this distribution is to show our gratitude to the men and women of this country who have risked their lives in defense of the freedoms which we continue to enjoy as Americans. The Buddy Poppies originated from the poppy fields common around the European battlefields of World War I. The poppy was adopted as the official memorial flower of the VFW in 1922. The Buddy Poppies are assembled by disabled and ready veterans in the VA hospitals, as has been done since 1923. The proceeds of this annual campaign assist the veterans who assemble the poppies, provide financial support of the state and national veterans rehabilitation and service programs, as well as supporting the VFW National Home for Children. At this time, I invite Clerk Therian to read the proclamation into the record, please.
Whereas the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States has been officially recognized and endorsed by governmental leaders since 1922. And whereas VFW Buddy Poppies are assembled by disabled veterans, and the proceeds of this fundraising campaign are used exclusively for the benefit of disabled and needy veterans, and the widows and orphans of deceased veterans. And whereas the basic purpose of the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars is eloquently reflected in their desire to honor the dead by helping the living. And whereas the citizens of Tinley Park are urged to recognize the merits of this cause by considering contributing to its support through donations for Buddy Poppies on the days set aside for the distribution of these symbols of appreciation for the sacrifices of our honored dead. And whereas the citizens of Tinley Park are further urged to wear a Buddy Poppy as mute evidence of our gratitude to the men and women of this country who have risked their lives in defense of the freedoms which we continue to enjoy as Americans. And now therefore, be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, that Monday, September 7th through Saturday, September 12th, 2020, be designated as Buddy Poppy Week in the Village of Tinley Park. Approve this 4th day of August, 2020, signed by Mayor Jacob C. Vandenberg and myself.
Thank you, Clerk. Are there any comments from the board? There's no comments. Are there any comments from the public, either in writing or in person?
There were not, Mayor.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Absolutely, yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, Trustee Glatz.
I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-076, recognizing the Tinley Park Citizen Volunteer Committee.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. In April, the Tinley Park Citizen Volunteer Committee was formed to help residents who were most at risk for the coronavirus. This committee assisted senior citizens and other at-risk residents by delivering groceries, medications, and other needs during the time of crisis. The resolution recognizes the group for its efforts in helping the community, which I'm going to read now. Resolution 2020-R-076, a resolution in recognizing the Tinley Park Citizen Volunteer Committee who assisted those at risk during the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas the president, the clerk, and the board of trustees of the Village of Tinley Park recognize the hard work and selfless dedication of the Tinley Park Citizen Volunteer Committee who led the effort to assist senior citizens and those at the highest risk during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the Tinley Park Emergency Management Agency swore in those volunteers during the crisis to enable them in their efforts to help members of the community. Whereas the committee aided those at the highest risk among us by delivering groceries, medications, driving seniors to doctor's appointments, providing well-being checks, and much more. Whereas the Tinley Park Citizen Volunteer Committee was motivated by the simple satisfaction of helping its fellow citizens and making the community a better place to live. Now therefore, be it resolved by the President, Clerk, and Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Illinois, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, on behalf of its citizens, herein represented, we salute the service of members of the Tinley Park Citizen Volunteer Committee and honor them as they serve those at most risk in their community during uncertain times. This is adopted on the 4th day of August, 2020, signed by the village president, the village clerk, and the 6 village trustees. I would just like to thank we have many members in the audience that have helped us tremendously, and without your help, this would have never, been as successful as it was. So thank you all that are here and those that are not able to attend. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Glatz. Are there any comments on the board?
Just like to say.
Are there any? Go ahead.
Just like to say, so proud of our fellow citizens that would step up and help those in need.
Any other comments?
Just like to echo that. Thank you so much. It was really awesome to watch how people would need help and people would just step up right after. It was really said a lot for our community. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anything else from the board?
I'll just echo those comments. You guys were amazing. You guys stepped up to the plate. No hesitation involved, and it was just kind of amazing to see you guys kind of go at it and help your fellow citizens. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Very good. Are there any comments from the public, either in writing, in person, or telephonically?
Yes, there is, Mayor. Somebody's approaching the speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me have a moment here. I just wanted to recognize the 4 big hearts of this committee that I'm aware of, Tim Janicek, Colleen Sullivan, Nancy O'Connor, and Michael Glatz. They approached many people that they knew in the community, and it was an honor to be part of this committee. I made so many friends that I didn't know in Tinley Park. I know sections of Tinley Park that I've never driven through now. So being here 20 years, it was kind of fun to learn different sections of Tinley Park. I made a lot of friends with the senior citizens, and it was just a joy to serve. So thank you, Mr. Glatz, for initially reaching out to me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Can I add to that, Jake?
Go ahead.
I would like to also add, she's not just a resident, she also not only serves and helps our seniors, she helps our children. She is also one of our 140 school district board members. Thank you, Carol.
Very good. If there's nothing else, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you all. Item number 6, at this time I'd ask for approval, a motion for approval for the following consent agenda items. Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, can you call the items into the record, please?
Yes, we have one item. Consider payment of outstanding bills in the amount of $2,909,742.40 as listed on the vendor board approval report dated July 24th, 2020 and July 31st, 2020.
Thank you, Clerk. I normally would ask if anybody would like to remove these items for the consent, but I don't think we have a choice but paying our bills. So is there anybody that want to remove these?
Be nice to remove it.
I don't think so. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, Trustee Mueller.
I motion we consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-077, approving and awarding an Oak Park Avenue Code Compliance Grant to Kunal Patel of Avocado Theory at 17302 South Oak Park Avenue.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Kunal Patel proposes to fully renovate the structure at 17302 Oak Park Avenue. The proposed plan will redevelop the standalone commercial property to be mixed-use building with a restaurant, patio area, and second-floor apartment. The petitioner will be installing a new fire sprinkler system and complete water line upgrades at the subject property. The code compliance grant shall be in an amount not greater than $33,750. The Economic and Commercial Commission reviewed the application at its July 13, 2020 meeting and voted 6-0 to recommend approval of this grant. This item was also discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting just prior to this meeting today. This resolution is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Does any board member care to comment regarding this? There are none. Any comments from the public, either in writing, in person, or telephonically regarding this item?
There were not, Mayor.
You know what, can I say something?
Thank you.
Hold on, I'm sorry, there is one.
Hold on. I just, quick, I don't know if you can answer a question. Is this part of the legacy code that they have to be in compliance with?
Do you know, Dave?
Is it?
Kimberly, can you answer that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Is this part of the legacy code that they're trying to be in compliant with?
Program is not a part of the legacy code, but.
Right.
Yeah,
So the legacy code, I'm just wondering, the legacy code requires the sprinkler, is that right?
so that's.
Change of use, yes.
That's fire code?
Yes.
All right. All right.
The subject property
I
does
can't
fall.
hear.
The subject property does fall within the legacy zoning district, if that's what the question was.
I think his question was.
All right,
is he
if there's
required to
no
do
other
it because
questions,
of
we'll
the legacy
continue
code?
on.
You know
Madam
what?
Clerk, please call the roll.
Yeah, you know what, that's all right. I'm just wondering if we're requiring this and then we're paying for it because it's too expensive for.
You're asking if it's being required because of the legacy code,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if not, if it is, it's fire code?
Mhm.
Trustee Mueller, has that question been adequately answered?
I believe so.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 8, Trustee Mueller.
I motion we consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-078, approving and awarding an Oak Park Avenue facade grant to Kunal Patel of Avocado Theory at 17302 Oak Park Avenue.
I'll second your
Is
motion.
there a second?
Trustee Brennan seconded it.
Thank you, Trustee Brennan. Go ahead.
The proposed improvements include a complete restoration of the street facade, including the relocation of the entrance from the south end of the building to the center of the facade, and the addition of a separate residential entrance at the north end of the building. The petitioner is eligible for the facade grant in an amount not to exceed $24,992. The ECC recommended approval of this application at its July 13, 2020 meeting, and it was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting held prior to this meeting today. This resolution is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you, sir. Are there any comments from the board? There's no comments from the board. Are there any comments from the public, either in writing or in person or telephonically regarding item 8?
There is not, sir.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9, Trustee Mueller.
I motion we consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-079, approving and awarding an Oak Park Avenue retail grant to Crenal Padel of Avocado Theory at 17302 Oak Park Avenue.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Bill. The petitioner is eligible for the retail grant in an amount not to exceed $12,758. The petitioner will utilize the funds received from the retail grant to make sanitary and stormwater improvements at 17302 Oak Park Avenue. The Economic Commercial Commission recommended approval of this grant application at its meeting on July 13, 2020. It was reviewed at the Committee of the Whole meeting held prior to this meeting this evening. This resolution is also eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Are there any comments on the board? Are there any comments from the public, either in writing, in person, or telephonically?
There are not, Mayor.
Thank you, Laura. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 10. Trustee Mueller.
Sorry. I motion we consider adopting ordinance 2020-0-038, amending the Tinley Park zoning ordinance for the purpose of regulating adult-use cannabis business establishments.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Pursuant to the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, Public Act 101-0027, the possession and private use of cannabis was legalized for Illinois residents over 21 years of age, effective January 1st, 2020. Municipalities have the authority to adopt and enforce local ordinances to regulate the possession and public consumption of cannabis as long as the regulations and penalties are consistent with the act. The proposed text amendment provides the zoning, regulations, and special use standards for adult-use cannabis dispensing facilities and deletes medical cannabis cultivation facilities in the ORI district. Medical cannabis dispensing organizations will still be allowed in the M1 district, but will not be allowed to sell adult-use cannabis at those locations. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on July 2nd, 2020 concerning the text amendments and voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the proposed text amendments. A Committee of the Whole meeting was held on July 7th, 2020, and the members recommended the ordinance be amended to require security personnel on site during business hours. The ordinance has been modified to reflect this recommendation. This ordinance is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any comments on the board?
Jake, this is Trustee Galante. I just have a question. When
Sure, floor is yours.
Thank you. Just for clarification, you're saying medical cannabis dispensaries cannot sell to recreational?
That's correct.
Okay. Don't most of these places sell both at the same time?
I don't, Pat, I don't know if you know, but I thought the state kind of separates the two.
They don't.
Yeah, I mean, they do today, yes, they do.
I don't know if they sell both. I know a lot of them were given the opportunities to open
Correct.
them, so I don't know if they're doing it on the same roof or not. But
Well, like in Joliet, they sell both.
It's a dual license, so they would have to get a recreational and a medical license by the state.
Right. But we're saying they can't sell both? They can only sell one or the other?
That's the way it was written.
I'm just curious.
that's something that the medical, if they have the dual license, I'm sure we can revisit that. And if
Yeah, I just thought it was, I just assumed they all had dual licenses.
I know they were given the early green light to, I thought, open other establishments, but if they can do it under one roof, and I'm sure they would be requesting it if they can, and they have the licenses, that seems reasonable. I'm sure we could revisit that portion.
Yeah, otherwise, it's just going to probably keep anybody from coming here. I mean, you know,
Sure. Well, be less revenue for the village.
I mean, if you want to have it, you know.
Is there anything else, Trustee Galante?
No, that was all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there anything else on the board? Nope. Are there any comments from the public, either in writing, in person, or telephonically?
Yes, we have somebody in person who'd like to make a comment there.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. My name is Andy Hunt, and on topic, I am the owner and operator of a medical marijuana dispensary in Highland Park on the North Shore. Might say my wife and I started the business 4 years ago, and we have been given the opportunity to open a rec adult use store. We currently have a medical store, and I think, if I could digress a second, the answer to your question is the 55 original medical marijuana dispensaries were all given the opportunity to have a dual use or dual license, but they're not allowed to move those licenses. So for now, unless they add medical licenses, there will be no additional medical dispensaries in the state. That said, we also were given the opportunity for a early or fast track for a recreational license, which is why I'm here today. I saw that this was on the agenda. I was very excited about that. Tinley Park is an outstanding community. It's very similar to where we live up north, family oriented, and I've been very impressed with the way the community's been treated here today, with outstanding young men and women with the scholarships, the volunteers, your focus on the veterans and the buddy poppy. It's been very pleasant evening for me. I think for me, obviously we're interested in operating in Tinley Park, if that were something that would work out. I think we're perfectly suited for this sort of thing. We've been doing business for 4 years. Our track record on compliance and security is unblemished. It's, for us, my wife and I have 4 young kids when we started the business, and the most important thing to me was, and my wife, was that the program was well written. I'm sure you all have looked at the ordinance and the state's regulations and compared them to some of the other ones, and I think what you can't help but notice is that we have one of the better programs in the state. And I think that gives towns like Tinley the confidence that operators are going to be held to a very high standard. That's not always been the case in other states. I think that, I think kudos to the government to the state for writing a law that is forces everyone to be on the same page. So I think that's something to consider. As far as the community and the impact on the community, I think with adult use, it's quite a bit different from medical. But I think in terms of how we manage patient flow, how we manage access, that won't change. We have man traps, we have armed guards where necessary. They're not out front, they are in the store. We have panic buttons and 26 cameras. The most important thing is that we're also keeping an eye on product and making sure it's not being diverted to underage, potentially, kids. It's our job to educate the public, and that's something that we would be looking to do. We would have, our goal would be work with local police and law enforcement, and to the extent that it's needed, work with schools and support programs, anti-drug programs and addiction support. We've done things like send kids to camp and things of that nature, and it's been very successful for us. So I think it's very important that we're part of this community. I think the other thing to consider when you're thinking about who would be a good fit for an adult use license in this town, I think it's someone like my wife and I. We're family owned, we own the business 100%, and that would be, for us, this would be a high-touch business. We would not be absentee owners. I think that's something to consider, whether it's us or anybody else, that when you're looking at this business, you want someone who's local. There's a lot of the, we are one of, I think, 4 privately owned or still individually owned dispensaries in the state. Many of these others have been bought up by multi-state operators, and that in some cases, not all, but in most cases, the management is not local. I think the other thing is we are one of the few who have a track record and have the ability to use a license right now and without having to wait to get approval and everything else. So, if we had if we found the right location, if it was the right fit for Tinley Park, and we were able to come together on that, I think it would be a great fit for everybody. So I don't have anything else really to add. I wanted to come down and offer that brief comment, give you an opportunity if you'd like to ask me a question or two. But to me, it's just an outstanding place to do business. It's an outstanding place to live, and I think those things come together for us very well.
Very good. I had something to say, Jake.
Okay, then go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for mentioning the armed guards. That was going to be one of my questions. I want to know if you do security or do you do armed guards? That's been important, I think, to a lot of people in the community, that if you did have it, they're armed. Second, thank you for clearing up the medical dispensary question that Trustee Galante had.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public? There are not, Mayor. There are none. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 11, Trustee Brady.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting ordinance 2020-0040, amending the Title 11, Chapter 110, Section 25C of the Village of Tinley Park Code of Ordinances for the addition of an adult-use cannabis business license fee.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On June 25th, 2019, the governor of the state of Illinois signed into Public Act 1010027, establishing the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act. Pursuant to the CRTA, the village may also enact reasonable ordinances or resolutions not in conflict with the act, regulating cannabis business establishments. Therefore, this ordinance amends the village municipal code to include a business license and fee in the amount of $5,000 plus the fee base per amends the village municipal code, to which a business license and fee in the amount of $5,000, which I just read, but I repeated it, per the square foot of adult-use cannabis facilities. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole on July 7th, 2020. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Any comments from the board?
Mr. Mayor, it's Pat. I just have one note. As we discussed last time at the Committee of the Whole, I believe, although I agree with the gentleman that the law was pretty well written, there was one part that I didn't like, that the state preempted home rule and all municipalities from additional taxation and things like that, other than that they had put in the ordinance. So it's important that with this fee, as we go along and to the extent it's charged and we get applicants, that we, because there is a lot of work that goes into the inspections and everything that will have to go into green lighting a business like this. So keep an eye on those, because we do want to make sure that it's a reasonable fee in terms of the staff work that we'll put in, which I'm sure it will be, definitely be that, because there will be a lot of work that goes in. So it's something we want to keep an eye on.
Thank you, Counselor. There's nothing else from the board. I would ask, are there any comments from the public, either in writing, in person, or telephonically, regarding this item?
There
Thank you, Laura. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
That motion will carry. Thank you. Item 12, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2020-0-041, granting a corner fence variation for certain property located at 6342 Carlsbad Drive.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
The petitioner is seeking a 12-foot secondary front yard setback variation from section 3.j fence regulations of the zoning ordinance to permit a 6-foot high privacy fence to extend up to 12 feet into the required secondary front yard for the property located at 6342 Carlsbad Drive in the R4 Single Family Residential Zoning District. This will allow for the fence to be located 13 feet from the secondary front property line instead of the required 25-foot secondary front yard setback. The requested variation is consistent with her neighbor's fence location and design. The Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on July 23rd, 2020, and voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the required variation in accordance with the plans as listed in the list of reviewed plans in the July 23rd, 2020 staff report. This ordinance is eligible for adoption tonight.
Trustee Mueller. Sorry for that noise that just came over there at the end. Are there any comments from the board? There's no comments. Are there any comments from the public, either in writing, in person, or telephonically?
There is not, Mayor.
Thank you, Laura. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 13, Trustee Galante.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to consider ordinance 2020-0-044, an ordinance designating the Village of Tinley Park, 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District Redevelopment Project Area.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Diane.
Thank you. There are several separate steps required by the state statutes to formally create a proposed 159th and Harlem TIF district. On March 3rd, 2020, the Village of Tinley Park authorized moving forward with a feasibility study under the Tax Increment Financing Act to determine if the area generally bounded by 159th and Oak Park Avenue, Alcott Avenue, and Simpson Meadows, 165th Street extended, can be designated as a redevelopment project area. On June 3rd, the village posted the redevelopment plan and the project for the proposed 252-acre 159th and Harlem TIF district on the village's website. That's tinleypark.org. For public inspection. The availability of the redevelopment plan and the project for the public inspection was also announced at the village board meeting on June 9th. On July 14th, 2020, the 159th and Harlem TIF District Joint Board met and gave a favorable recommendation of the redevelopment plan and project. Earlier this evening, a public hearing for the 159th and Harlem TIF District plan and project was held. This item and the ordinance under the following two agenda items serve to formally establish 159th and Harlem TIF District. The first ordinance sets the boundaries and designates the redevelopment project area for the 252 acres, 159th and Harlem TIF District, TIF Increment Financing District. This
Thank
ordinance
you.
is eligible for first reading.
This is a first reading this evening. Are there any comments from the board?
Yes, Mayor. This is Trustee Berg.
Go ahead, Trustee Berg.
As I pointed out, Tinley Park is 45 times more TIF than Orland Park. Tinley Park has a significantly higher amount of TIF districts than all of our surrounding communities. That said, it's with great hesitation that we should proceed on a TIF at 159th and Harlem. COVID-19 is a prime example of an unexpected turn of events that can turn a financially stable village upside down. If the strategic plan for the village of Tinley Park is to plan another TIF, its best use would be at 183rd and LaGrange Road, not the Oak Park Avenue for apartment buildings that we've already done, nor 159th in Harlem, our busiest corner in the village. It has been estimated that 183rd and LaGrange will require infrastructure including over $2 million in water and sewer alone by our village engineer's estimate. 159th in Harlem has infrastructure in place and supports as much retail as we are ever going to get based on consumers using online venues. Economic trends are reliably in industrial and warehousing developments for the best returns in the current market. Therefore, I'm not supporting another TIF district, and therefore I'm not supporting the 159th and Harlem location, and I will be voting no on items 13, 14, and 15. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Berg. Are there any other comments from the board? Again, this is for first reading this evening. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
No.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
That motion will carry. Thank you. Item 14, Trustee Galante.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to consider ordinance 2020-045 and ordinance approving the Village of Tinley Park 159th and Harlem tax increment financing district redevelopment project area, redevelopment plan and project.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Trustee Galante.
Thank you. This is a companion ordinance to the previous agenda item. The current ordinance would approve the document outlining the possible redevelopment activities and improvements contemplated over the 23-year life of the 252-acre 159th and Harlem TIF incremental financing district known as the redevelopment plan and project. This ordinance is eligible for first reading.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. Again, this is eligible for first reading. Are there any comments from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
No.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 15, Trustee Galante.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to consider ordinance 2020-0-046 and ordinance adopting tax increment financing for the Village of Tinley Park, 159th and Harlem tax increment financing district.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll
Is there
second
a
that
second for
motion.
the motion?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a companion ordinance to the previous two agenda items. The ordinance would approve the tax increment financing for 159th and Harlem Tax Increment Financing District and is the last step in formally creating this TIF district. The tax increment financing authorized by the ordinance would enable the TIF economic development tool as provided under Illinois statutes to assist the village in encouraging redevelopment within the boundaries of 159th and Harlem TIF district and potentially undertake related public infrastructure improvements. This ordinance is for first reading.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. Again, for first reading, are there any comments from the board? There are none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
No.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 16. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to reconsider a motion to adopt ordinance number 2020-0-042, increasing the number of Class E liquor licenses that can be issued in the Village of Tinley Park for Golden Corral, located at 6803 159th Street. Is there such a motion?
I'll make the motion to reconsider the motion to adopt the ordinance 2020-0-042, increasing the number of Class E liquor license that can be issued in the Village of Tinley Park.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
It was properly seconded by the Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Golden Corral, located at 6803 West 159th Street, is a buffet chain with about 70 employees who work at the Tinley Park location. As it is a family-friendly establishment, it had not previously approached the village for a liquor license. As a result of COVID-19, Golden Corral has been closed until late June, when Phase 4 of the Restore Illinois plan took effect, because its business model could not be easily adapted to the earlier provisions for carry-out or outdoor dining. With tight margins, the hope is that a liquor license may help provide additional revenue to keep the operations going. Petitioner is seeking approval of a Class E liquor license for beer and wine only. On July 21st, 2020, an ordinance was brought before the board to consider increasing the number of Class D liquor licenses in the village for Golden Corral. This ordinance failed with a 1-4 vote by the village board. The petitioner requested that if the village board did not agree to a Class D liquor license, Golden Corral would like the village board to consider a Class E liquor license for a license to allow for beer and wine only. At the same meeting on July 21st, a motion to consider increasing the number of Class E liquor licenses in the village for this establishment was also moved for consideration. This motion failed due to a lack of a second to a motion. Reconsider a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-0-042, increasing the number of Class E liquor licenses in the village of Tinley Park, again for Golden Corral, at 6803 159th Street. I would ask that this be considered for adoption. Is the petitioner on the phone, or will he be on the phone?
He's actually here,
He's there.
Mayor-
Would you like to address the board, sir?
Yes, first of all, thank you for the
I'm sorry,
reconsideration.
One second, I just want to make sure the board's clear. So first, we have to vote on the motion to reconsider, okay? We didn't take that yet, did we? Right? We have a first and a second on the motion to reconsider. So we should probably take that vote, and then that vote carries, and then you'll have the underlying actual liquor license to consider, the approval of the Class E. So, Mayor, similar to the amending motion, we've got two motions to handle here, the reconsideration and then the underlying motion.
Okay. So I have a motion to reconsider. It's been properly seconded and brought before the table. This would be a roll call vote for reconsideration of this ordinance. Does that sound correct, Counselor?
That sounds correct.
Thank you. Clerk, would you call the roll on the reconsideration, please?
Motion to reconsider, Trustee Berg.
Abstain.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
The motion will carry. Thank you for the reconsideration. Can the petitioner have the floor at this point, Counsel?
Sure can.
Thank you. Sir, if you could address the board.
All right, again, this is Bhavin Patel. Again, thank you all for the reconsideration. And I do like to apologize last time first time I was able to call in. The second time when I was trying to call in with the same passcode, it wasn't working for me. So this time I wanted to come in person and address the reason why the partners had applied for D versus Z for two reasons. One was the obvious fact that they're both the same amount of fee. And the second was that they, just like the city of Chicago, which is temporarily allowing cocktails for to-go only, if Tinley Park ever allowed to do that, we wanted to be in that regards. We had no intentions of selling liquor on the premises or inside the restaurant at all. We only wanted to serve canned beers and single-serve wine only. So that's all that I wanted to, address, that our only intention is inside the restaurant to sell beer and wine only.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do any of the board members care to ask any questions of the petitioner while he's present?
Jake, can I ask a question?
Sure, the floor is yours.
Is there other locations that already serve alcohol?
Yes, we're not going to be the first. There's many other Golden Corrals that are doing that, and we have a lot of best practices that we'll be getting from our division presidents on how to best about going that. Certain things like all the beer, wine will be stored inside the cooler in a locked up place. only manager will have access to it, so that when one of our guests is buying beer or wine from us, there'll be an opportunity for our managers to take the drinks directly to them, check, obviously the ID and so forth, and whatever the local ordinance is, how many per person we're allowed to sell. And just to, that's how they'll be doing table touches, how the guest is doing, how everything's flowing and so forth. So there's a lot of measurements and rules in place. And again, the only reason why we want to do canned beers and single serve wine is so that way we can keep proper track of inventory, ordering, and such, and usage and such as. So, and we're not the only chain starting to do that. There's other family chains like Cracker Barrel, who's also now selling beer. So just because of the pandemic, across the board, as most knows, the restaurant industry is taking one of the hardest hit, and being a buffet in the restaurant industries were one of the toughest spot. And this is just an extra stream to add on to that for the lost dining sales that we're incurring at the moment. So we greatly appreciate your reconsideration of this.
Thank you.
I would like to ask a question. You said that manager would be delivering the beer and still running the restaurant and have to do that duty as well and check IDs?
We have, on a weekday, we have at least 2 managers on duty. On the weekend, I have up to 4 managers on duty. So at any point, my managers are front of the house manager as well as the kitchen manager. I allow them to do table touches of all the guests that are coming into our dining room. So this is just another opportunity to get to the guest with a drink and with proper checking.
Okay, and what would be I'm not going to quote you.
Oh, sure.
But what the cost of the wine and the beer, what would be the charge that you think?
Well, depending on how much we can get it for, but the rule would be $2 to $2.50 for a canned drink and up to $5 for a single serve wine.
Okay, that's all from me.
I had a question, Jake.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. You touched a little bit on what I wanted to ask, and you've actually said some of the comments that I was concerned about. So in the original proposal, it was to produce extra revenue. So I was under the impression that you would need some more staff to who's gonna service that, because buffet is basically almost, waitressless. You self-serve, they sit you, they get you a drink, and, you're on your own. So a manager is going, like Bill said, is gonna run the restaurant, and he's going to do that. How do you anticipate the patrons letting you know then that if you're not hiring waitresses, because that was originally discussed, that the mayor thought you would be hiring more personnel. How do you see this happening from someone sitting there without waitresses to asking, requesting a drink? What do you foresee the process being?
Well, the way we've seen and heard from other Golden Crowds that are already doing this is once the guest comes in through the line, it's a one cost for the meal, and they'll let the cashier know whether they're having a soft drink or if they're going to be ordering a beer or wine. And along with the receipt, there's an extra slip that prints out if they're ordering a beer or wine. So when we have several servers throughout the day, morning and night shifts. Servers, they do talk to our guests, let them know where everything's on the bar, the food bars, what we call them, cold bar, hot bar, bakery bar. And they deliver them the drinks as well as when I say drinks right now, the soft drinks, Coke products, and the silverware to the guests. Our servers also make sure they're cleaning the tables and so forth. Any guest that comes in with the extra slip where they have ordered a beer or wine, a server would catch any one of my managers on duty and let them know that so-and-so guest at so-and-so table has 2 beers or 1 wine or whatever they have ordered at the table. So along with my cashier, my manager would also be checking the ID of the guest that has ordered. And just that's another form of them doing a table touch, which they're supposed to be doing as is. So, and along with that, there's more best practices. Obviously, once we have the license, I'll be talking to our division presidents. I'll be going to other places that are already have this in service, including Orlando, which has been doing it for over 10 years. So it'll be a learning process for us as well, but there are rules in place that we'll have to follow.
Hannah, do you know, thank you.
Oh.
Hannah, do you know our local Cracker Barrel, they don't have a liquor license, do they?
No, I do not believe so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No other questions from the board? Or any questions from the public, either in writing, in person, or telephonically?
There are not, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Laura. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Abstain.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
No.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
No.
Trustee Mueller.
No.
Two, three.
You've got 2 yeas, 2 Ns, and an abstain. Mayor, I believe you.
My vote doesn't count.
Pardon?
Is my vote? I don't count on this vote.
At a tie, you have to cast the tiebreaker.
There isn't a tie.
There is, I got,
It's not a tie. It's 2-3.
sorry, I had it wrong. I had 2-2.
And an abstention.
You're right.
Motion fails. Item 13, receive comments from the staff.
None, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 14, receive comments from the board.
I would just like to, this is Trustee Brady, on a compliment our Veterans Commission. This past Saturday, they were able to get the military, my mind just went blank. Pat, do you remember what it is? Armored personnel carrier that they put in place this weekend over at Veterans Park by the General Ray area of the plaza over there by the train station. So congratulations to them. It's something that Wiley has been working on for 3-4 years, if not longer. So they finally got it done. So congratulations to them.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Anybody else care to comment?
I do, Jake. I just, again, thank staff, our fire department. Everyone did a great job putting the ribbon cutting ceremony together for the firehouse. It was nice to be a part to see it with Trustee Brady, Trustee Berg. We saw it from the beginning all the way to the end. It was well worth it, came in under budget. It'll be there for a long time. And then that afternoon, Kristen and I got to say goodbye to Major Wiley, who retired from the Veterans Commission. And they had a display showing, we got to watch Bill the crane as they put it in place. So that was a sad day to see Major Wiley leave. He did a lot of great things, and General Pat Ray was there as well.
Thank you. Anything else? Some other comments from the board. We'll move on to item 15, receive comments from the public. I don't believe there's any comments that were sent in for writing or telephonical responses.
There were none sent in, but there's one.
Anyone present?
Yep, there's one in person.
A couple things. The TIF area, Pete's in there, Kmart, right? Were they dependent on this TIF to come in here? Or they're gonna come in here and we're gonna make it a TIF. And the same thing with, I guess, Bandana's, is that the name of it? The barbecue place?
It's going into the old Applebee's.
Yeah, so that's in the TIF district too, right? Are they dependent on this TIF?
So, you know, the TIF district was created, I think if you saw the presentation, because of all the various criteria and really the inability to get any major rehabilitation without TIF incentives. So, I mean, it's fair to say with the amount of rehab work the county has to get, TIF is gonna be needed to incent various businesses to come.
I get it, because it needs to be, right? The
Yep.
vacancy's high, and I was just wondering if the two businesses that are already coming are requesting TIF financing, because that's, I'm guessing, right now, the tax level is low, because Applebee's been closed for how long? And same thing with Kmart, right? After a certain amount of time, taxes go down. So these new businesses are coming in.
Well, they're actually they're reclassed as vacant properties. That's what lowers their EAV, because they're basically non-operational.
Right.
But once they're occupied, that would increase their EAV. However, with the Pete's Fresh Market, they were awarded a 6B and a 7B, which lessens their taxes due to the high rate of which Cook County puts on
Sure.
those type of industries. So that incentive exists. And because the TIF district currently doesn't exist, it's proposed at this time, neither of the businesses for which you're referring to have requested TIF assistance, as it doesn't exist at this point.
Right.
They've requested.
And Andrew, and if I could add to that I think that answers the question, but I would just say that the reason those properties were also included in the overlay map for the TIF district would be for the public side of it regarding infrastructure improvements for those two parcels that you're referencing, right? I mean, that would be the reason why they were included in the district. They were not a part, the TIF district was not a part of the incentive packages or financial agreements that were made for either one of those developments. However, when we decided to add that to the TIF, we looked at it in regards to a public infrastructure improvement area.
That is correct. Those businesses came aboard prior to the TIF being in existence and were included as part of the plan for that area for the redevelopment of those centers.
All right. I wasn't going to say anything, but so that I don't understand why you wouldn't give the Golden Corral a license, especially during this time. I didn't hear any reason why it shouldn't be, but I mean, that's your own personal reasons, and I get it. But I just wanted to say something else. It is what it is. So I started a business, and it's headquartered here in Tinley, 6 years ago, 2014. And I work with newspapers all across the state, and I'm working with this Taylor Media, South Suburban News, and I've been working with him for a couple years now, just doing some things, and I always promote Tinley and talk about Tinley and all that, so he's joking about it, but he brought up a couple weeks ago talking about how 22nd Century Media doesn't have went out of business because of COVID. And I don't know if they have any plans to come back, but he's looking to, one, put news articles on Tinley in his South Suburban newspaper. Like this, he threw in the Kara's Lemonade Stand, which was, I told him push that because it helps the Tinley Wish and all that. But also there's some messages from the mayor and another story that they pulled. But at some point in the near future, hopefully this fall, he's going to launch a newspaper for Tinley Park and then probably one for Orland Park too, which will be good to preserve the history of Tinley and report everything. So they will be reaching out. I told them to reach out to you guys for any stories or anything that you want to promote for Tinley, just to get it out there. So
Thank you.
that's good for Tinley.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other public comments?
I just, it's Andy Hunt again. I just wanted to, I left a couple things out that I thought might be worth mentioning. The state did 61 million in adult use sales in July, which is pretty outstanding, given I think there's only about 35 stores open. Based on just a back of the envelope expectation of sales in a town like Tinley, in the surrounding areas, you're looking at anywhere from $15 to $20 million in revenue probably. So that's something around, at a 3% municipal tax, it's up to $600,000. It could be more. I think that's probably a lowball number, given the world music theaters there as well. And then, in addition, us or whoever else would come in, depending on how they run their business, we would probably add 25 to 30 employees. Right now, we're operating with 15. We're doing about half that business right now, and I think that's just something I wanted to add to my earlier comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
No more, Mayor. I think we're good.
Fabulous. Thank you, Laura. Item 16, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the following items. A, the employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. B, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. C, the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body. D, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Trustee Brennan. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to adjourn to executive session, Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. We will be adjourning to executive session. For the record, it's 9:04 p.m. This will end our public meeting this evening. There shall be nothing to follow. Thank you all. Have a good evening.